So I've struggled with what to talk about, because I want to talk about the creative process for me. And unfortunately, this day happened at a really strange point in my creative life where I'm sort of feeling pretty insecure about the process. So, which is sort of what I think I'll focus on, which is the idea that it's a constant struggle between being confident and being completely insecure, especially when you're in the creation of any art, from the way I see it, is we don't do it. If I wanted to create songs that only I heard, I would do it. It would be in my bedroom. I'd be sitting, it wouldn't matter if anybody heard them. But I grew up loving music where art and commerce came together and changed my life, right? Records that, whether it be Back in Black, AC/DC, or whether it be Octane Baby, or whatever. For me, the thing that had the most weight and I wanted to get in to that pool, I wanted to get into the pool of popular culture, creating art. I grew up in a situation where my family was not big on being yourself, not big on individuality. They professed to be, but then they were like snipers, they could just fucking take you out if you stuck your head in. So it's funny that then I go, and it's not funny, it makes sense that then I would go into my job as essentially trying to fucking please everybody by making songs that get played on VH1, which is perhaps the most, God love them, but I mean that is not the high point of culture. And so it's a really strange position for me to be in as a creator. I made all these notes for this fucking thing. I stayed up all night. It looks like I took a chicken and put crayons on its feet and slapped its ass and it just sprinted across my notebook. I don't even know if any of it is, I can't even fucking make sense of it. It's just an arrow pointing to another arrow pointing to Tom Petty in very big letters. I'm gonna take off my fucking coat too. So anyway, long story longer. The creative process for me is we are not friends, the creative process and I. Because I come from the place where I want to please. I come from a place where I want to allow people to have a good time and I want people to validate me. I want them to say, good job, that's fucking great. I relate to that. And if there's anything that's the enemy of creative process, it's that concept. All of this stuff I've been watching and kind of having my mind blown, you grow up resenting someone like Tom Petty. Because when you start to create and that fucking guy just shits these songs out that are so transcendent, right? I mean, to write a lyric like, if you think you can do better than me, go. Just go. But remember, good love is hard to find. Good love is hard to find, and you got lucky, baby, when I found you. Like, what am I supposed to do from there? Right? There's so much great art, and I'm such a nerd for it, that I get intimidated to enter the ring. And I second guess myself. And all the stuff you've been hearing about today, it's all about confidently falling. It's all about submission. And I'm not big on submission. And so my creative process, lately, I've been thinking that the results of my creative process aren't yielding what I want. They're yielding results, and they're great to me at the time, but with a little bit of sort of looking back, I realized that I'm not really getting the songs to do what I want them to do. Some of them do, and some of them I end up lopping the balls off of them, if that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying? You stop them from being you. Because when you've spent your whole life trying hard to make sure that you're loved, and I'm not saying this to gain I'm just telling you the fucking straight shit. It's like, when you write songs, it's very difficult to then stick your neck out And all the stuff we've been hearing today is about that that's where the greatness comes from. And here's where the fundamental sort of point that keeps me moving forward is that I think I know human beings are better than we allow ourselves to be, and that the way we sell ourselves and what society tells us. We live in a place where Kardashians are important. And I'm down with a balance of absurd and weighty shit. But when we live in a time where people don't listen to our president speak, but they'll listen to somebody, the drama level, they'll pay attention to Snooki and the fact that she self-tans or whatever, or that Lindsay Lohan's teeth are fucking cracked out. We live in a terribly imbalanced time. And so I guess my coming around to the point is, we live in an imbalanced time, and that's what makes it even more important for people like in the position that I'm in, and I'm fortunate enough to hold, to create things that are unique and coming from me. And that it's my job to not just acquiesce and not lop off the stranger parts of who I am in the creation of this thing that I make. Because I owe it to the art. I owe it to the music. I owe it to Bob Dylan. I owe it to Tom Petty. I owe it to U2 in their finest moments. It's like, I realize that I'm competing with all the wrong people. And this has been something that I've realized very recently, that I'm competing with people that I don't even like. And that I'm chasing after people that just don't inspire me. And so, it doesn't mean that all the stuff I've created becomes a void thing, right? Because I'm in there. But I feel like when there's moments to take a risk, when there's moments to really step out, I may have stepped back. Sometimes I've stepped forward. So I'll just tell you a little bit about my process. My friend, Mark, who I went to college with, he and I write all the songs together, pretty much. And what we do is we sit around and we just try and impress each other. Right? So we'll sit in a room and I'll be, dude, check this out, this is great. And he'll be like, oh no, check this out. And then we just sort of get each other off, essentially. I always said that to me, the ideal artist would be if Bob Dylan had written lyrics for Def Leppard. Now, as I get older, I realize that's impossible. You can't do that. Bob Dylan, the reason it was so potent is the vehicle was fucking Bob Dylan. But that was kind of always the way I went. So he and I bounced these ideas off each other, and we end up kind of continually boiling down so we'll come up with a song. So there'll be a song like, songs don't just appear like they do for Tom Petty. Where he says, oh, I wrote Free Falling in like 10 minutes. Like, that's never fucking happened in my life. But, so, I have a song called Faster. And it began as a song that I really wanted to sound like the Talking Heads. And Mark and I sit around, what we do is we'll play it, we'll record it, then we take the part that we really like out, then it's like building a car out of scrap. You take the best parts, that steering wheel works great, those wheels work great, take the chassis out of that, put it together, and you make this car. So, a song like Faster, I'll see if I can remember what the old version was. I wrote some lyrics down, it's like, it went like, very Talking Heads kind of, you know? So it was like, I fall asleep, I come apart, I never meant to do the things that really matter till they're gone. And that was like, wait, that was it. Matter till they're gone. I left home, I dropped out, just to feel you, baby, just to crawl. You make my heart beat fast when you give it just a little bit of love. So that's the original idea. And so I finish it and I'm like, this is fucking great, this is the song, right? And then second guessing begins. There's two parts of the process. There's the puking phase and then the refinement phase. I'm really good at the refinement phase. The getting out of your own way phase, not so good at, right? And it's the idea that he said, I didn't get his name, but he was a fucking genius. from the improv group. He said, I started to fucking cry, it was great. The idea can't live. Creation is such a volatile, precious thing that if you stop it, you can get laughs and you can become the center of attention. But the real courage is to add to it and let it flourish. I grew up in a family where it was all about the moment. It was all about seizing the moment and making it about you. So I'm really good at fucking assassinating an idea. When it shows up, I can just be like, no, no. And so it's really hard as the creator of those ideas. My fucking mouth is right here, so it starts to flow out, and it's just like, no. It dies on the vine. So anyway, that was the first, this is part of how the creative process, that's why we're not friends. It's a struggle. And the idea that then, I was like, we should put the Bo Diddley beat underneath that, because that fucking Talking Heads thing is rad, but I'm not David Byrne. And it was like, right, a little like Bo Diddley. And then it was like, but I liked the idea of heart beats fast. That was cool. It says, under my breath, under my heart, and in my love, my fickle heart, it was like, I've had less, now I need you. Right? And it was like, I've had less, now I need you. And I was like, fuck, that's great. Forget the rest of that. I've had less, I need you. Kick ass. And then there was a part that went, oh, it goes, oh, baby, shake me to my bones. I'll serenade you from the rooftops with my megaphone. Some boys lie, some boys crawl. And then it was like, so I was like, fuck, serenade you on the rooftop with my megaphone. So these songs are morphing, the song is changing, and all the while I'm shooting good ideas dead. And I'm letting some of them come through, but I'm not the conduit. I'm not courageous enough to just follow something through to its finish. I'm the guy that grabs it by the neck and says, come with me. Like, let's do this. And that's just the wrong approach. Because it gets in the way of the true letting go, the true falling, the true thing that art is, which is a courageous sense of relinquishing yourself and being a conduit for something. But we're moving along, the song's fucking happening, right? It's good. Progress, so you can be like, this is great, let's keep moving. Then, I had this, stood on the roof with my megaphone, swore up and down you were the one. You make my heart beat fast when you give it just a little bit of love. So I have this verse, there we are. I was like, we're almost done, the song's gonna be called Megaphone, this kicks ass. The final song goes like this. You're so delicious, you're so soft, sweet on the tip of my tongue. You taste like sunlight and strawberry bubble gum. You bite my lip and you spike my blood. You make my heart beat faster. Own me, you own, and rattle my bones. Turn me over and over, 'cause I can't control myself. Make me a liar, yeah, one big disaster. 'Cause you make my heart beat faster. So that becomes the song. Totally different. Well, I appreciate you clapping. But here's the point where I'm going to sort of stab my whole process in the fucking heart, and I'll end because we're getting close. That song turned out to be a song I love, and a song I love playing, but a song where a point of view is essential. Point of view, courage, and honesty are essential in creative things. That song could have been much more honest and could have had much more of a point of view. But I felt that it was so important that people hear it that I backed off of that. And the joke is that not many people are going to hear it in comparison to the potential has been kind of sucked out of that song a little bit. I know that's weird because you may hear it on the radio, you might see it on video, but the idea is like, I want to make art that fucking changes the world. And I know that sounds arrogant, but I don't mean it to be arrogant. I mean it because the records that I loved as a kid, or in high school, or in college, changed the DNA of me as the listener. And when you pull your punches in the creative process, you take yourself out of the ring. You can't actually do it because you're not coming from a perspective that has any strength. And you're not a unique enough voice to be heard in that situation. In the din of Kim Kardashian's ass and very terrible pop radio. To me, I believe that there's a universal truth in music, that when a song is resonating, when a song fucking hits on all cylinders, it is impossible to deny it. And I spend my life chasing after it, when really the only way to get to it is to stop chasing it and just get out of the way. And so that's why I come to you at this sort of crossroads in my creative place where I play that song and I love playing it and I think it's really neat and it's smart and it's got moments that I like, but I don't feel myself fully invested in it as the artist. And that's what's so great about art as well, is that it's a continual evolution of moving forward and fucking up. And like continuing to make mistakes and being fearless in making mistakes. And that's where you need to put your effort in order to achieve things that are bigger than yourself. Because when you control it, and when you think you're smarter than it, you lose. Thanks.